What's up, guys? All right, I am super hyped. This list is done, and I was wrong. It wasn't 350,000 items when I finished. It was 230,000, which is not as much as I was hoping for, and it does mean that by the time we post our items, they're probably not going to be 100,000 items. I want 100,000 items, but this is the big list I made, so ultimately the amount of items that I end up with in my eBay store is going to be dependent on me just pouring my heart into this and doing everything that I can to make sure that the end list is the pinpointed items that I think are most likely to sell in the bulk format, right? Eliminated from the rest of the items. The negative items and the neutral items. We only want to post positive items. And the idea here is if I can get the system down and I can really do this, then all you have to do, or what I would want to do, is make some kind of software where you literally just, like, you control the links that the software gives you by, how do I explain this? Okay, imagine you have a piece of software. You type in the source that you're using, as long as it's compatible, right, Walmart, and then you make a queue of keywords. The software creates a database of items, and based on your user input, you have this positive filter and this negative filter. So the negative filter in my case is this. It's a list of every single keyword that we got, or that I got from posting over 200,000 items since I started dropshipping. And what I did is I went through every single VERO violation and like issue like that I could find in my email. And there were over like 200 violations. And I found the keywords that would be necessary to prevent every single one of those violations from happening. So, well, not theoretically, if I could go into the past and I just added this list of bad items and I made sure that I never posted anything that included any of these keywords, I would have posted as much as I had now without ever getting a policy violation at all, right? So obviously that's impossible. I can't go into the past. But now that I have all this data, I can use it to make my bulk posting more efficient, right? So if you want this database, you can find it in the description. There is a link. You can't edit the file, but you can look at it. So what I would do if I were you is to copy it and then have some kind of your own database where you add problematic items to, okay? Just so you can understand what this negative filter is. That's what I call it, right? I'm going to change bad keywords to negative filter. We're going to take these keywords and get every single item that has one of those keywords out of this list, all right? And that's going to be the passing it through the first filter, the negative filter. But if you want this list for your own uses, because I understand, you know, the vast majority of you don't do bulk work, and it's just interesting, but you personally do like optimization or something else. And so this could still be useful for you because all of these keywords are associated with problems. So if you make a habit of not posting items that are related to these, then you can do better. There's certain areas where, okay, it's important to understand that most of these concepts are things that will eliminate. They're from VERO violations or policy violations about weapons, that kind of stuff, right? But then there are also items that aren't worth selling, and that's in the bulk mentality. So maybe you don't want to use those. Like, in particular, let's find, okay, multiple right here, right? Where'd it go? Multiple. That's not a keyword you would think you would want to eliminate, but the reason that I eliminate it is because Walmart has certain phrases that they use that indicate that the item is available in variations so that there isn't one set size for the listing. And I want to avoid those kinds of items. They're called variations. I want to avoid them from my bulk posting. Whereas if you're optimizing, maybe that's what you do. You list variations. It's different. So there's certain categories in here like multiple and some other things available as well that I avoid just because of the way that I post items, but you might not necessarily want to avoid them, okay? So that being said, let's start actually applying the negative filter. Oh, no, wait, I didn't finish my point. So theoretically, you could make software where it's the software changes what it does based on the user's two databases. You have your negative filter and your positive filter, all right? So imagine that you've populated your negative filter with a list of keywords that are associated with problems, and then you've populated your positive filter with a list of keywords that are associated with good items, all right? So what this software would do is you would type in your source, right? Walmart.com in my case. And then you would do like a price range, and you would want to pull every single available item in that entire price range. And then there would be some parameters that you can fill based on what a Walmart search result looks like, right? Where you could fill like, okay, do you want only 2-day shipping, or do you want like, in general, it would avoid marketplace sellers, because this is, I would want to make something that is relevant directly to what I do. And if I can get something that just creates a list of items that's likely to sell in the bulk format, then I can just keep refreshing that list over and over and over and over and over again. And as far as I understand, I'm going to be able to do that for a while. Eventually, dropshipping will get too competitive, I think, where I won't be able to bulk ship or bulk dropship as profitably, especially once more people are doing it. Because I'm definitely not the only one doing it. I'm definitely one of the few like people who publicly talks about bulk, because you can find evidence that bulk format stores exist, but it's pretty hard to find examples of people who are talking about what they're doing when it comes to bulk, because most people don't do it, and that's information I've kind of had a hard time coming across, which is why I was just like, I'm just gonna do it myself, you know. So you would have these two filters that you add these keywords to, and the keywords are what makes it unique to your interests, and that's the part that I think could be very useful. So the software itself, all it does is it looks at the base parameter that you have for Walmart before you click the scan button. So you're like, okay, Mr. Magic Software, I want every single item that Walmart has for sale between the price of $10 and $35 that's not sold by a marketplace seller, right? Because that's what I did, and I had that long process of going through that whole list and using the macros. All of that can be done fairly simply using software, and in a much more efficient way. So then you can boil down the bulk work to the part where you are just working with the lists of items, because it's not as simple. You can't just pull search results and post them. You have to have filtering, okay? And so I think it's important that you have this negative and this positive filter, because I'll explain a bit more about that, but really it just enables you to isolate the items that you believe are best, right? So first you go through and you apply the negative filter, okay? So now that I've told you a bit about that software and just kind of brainstormed a little bit with you guys, I'm gonna show you what I'm actually doing, okay? So we're gonna have this open in one window and Sublime Text open in another window. Sorry. And now, I'm not gonna do this in order, actually. I need to turn the music down, I'm yelling. I'm going to show you some examples here. So I'm going to get rid of some items that I know from experience aren't worth posting, okay? And the first occurrence of that is going to be the keyword 3D rows. So let's look for that here. Yeah, 3D rows. There you go. So just to illustrate this concept, I'm going to copy 3D rows, right? And I'm going to search for it in Sublime Text. I'm searching for 230,000 items, or I'm searching through them, so it might be a bit laggy. Okay. It found 16,000 instances of 3D rows. Okay. We don't want any of those. And one of the reasons that we don't want those is because there are so many of them. 16,000, that's like 7% of this whole list. And that's just one of these big keywords that I'm eliminating, right? So the way that we're going to eliminate everything, and the first time that I do a task here, I'm going to show you the keyboard shortcuts, but then I'm not going to say what I'm doing every time after that, okay? So to do a basic keyword elimination, you have the keyword in the find box, right? So you click Control Find, and then you have this. And next what you do is click Alt-Enter. This is going to highlight every single occurrence of that keyword in the entire document, right? And so we want to delete the line that contains that flagged keyword. So we're going to go to the beginning of the line by clicking Home. And now we're going to hold Shift and click End. This is going to select the whole line that the keyword occurred on. So now we can just click Backspace. And it's going to lag now because it's performing an act on a bunch of things. And we're actually going to hit Backspace twice just to get rid of the space. And so now we have eliminated 16,000 occurrences of the word 3D rose. Any item in any URL in this list that contained that keyword no longer contains it. And so I can change this. Let me change this a little bit here. We're going to change the format of this just so it's easier to work with in the moment. And you guys see more of what's going on with Sublime, okay? So now that we've done this, I'm going to color it real quick. Come on. Oh, it's too small. I can't color it. Let's make it a little bit bigger. All right, there we go. Nah, okay, tiny bit bigger. There we go. There's our color. All right. I'm coloring that just because I've already done it. And I'm not going to do every single item on this list in this video, but I am going to start going through and talking to you a bit more about what it is exactly that I'm doing. And I really want you to understand that, like, if you just blindly bulk post, then you are paying lots of money on insertion fees for items that are indicative of not selling. Okay, so you want to get good at figuring out your own sense of what those items are and how to eliminate them, right? So 3D Rose is one of them. Another one that's a good example of this concept is canvas art. So we're going to search for canvas : art. We have 11,662 occurrences of canvas art. Canvas art is just, it's like art that you put on the wall, but Walmart has so much of it, and I don't find that it sells based on the sheer quantity of it. We want to make this list as kind of varied as possible. We want everything in this list to point to individual, specific items. That's going to be really important because that's what a good bulk item is. It's an item that is the item it is. There's no variations. There's not 1,000 different other kinds of that item. It just, you know, maybe there's 3 or 4 other kinds, but they have different listings. That is a great bulk listing. It's just an item, you know. You don't have to worry too much about the items themselves. What you need to learn is the items that cause problems and how to eliminate them, and the items that just rarely produce sales compared to the like, okay, if you post 100,000 items and 10,000 of them are canvas art, if at least like 5% of the sales that you get aren't related to canvas art, that's an indication that you shouldn't use that keyword, because most of your sales are coming from different items, even though that keyword takes up 10% of all of your items, right? So you want to make sure that you eliminate these big ones. These are important. So again, we're just going to find everything, go to the beginning of the line, delete the line, and then delete the space. So there we go. All right. And remember, this list is unique items. So, okay, we are now working with a list of 201,000 items. All right, not bad, not bad. And I'm going to find canvas in here. Here we go. And we are going to color it. Awesome. Now, what's another thing I can talk to you about? Okay, so now that you understand that's one part of the negative filter, which is eliminating items that won't necessarily cause you, they won't give you direct policy violations, but they will result in you paying too many insertion fees and you getting less sales, right? So, what's a different example? Let's give you an example of okay, Casio, for example. We were just eliminating like 10,000 items at a time, right? But now this only has 88 eliminations. That's not very much. We're not getting rid of this. So you can get prone to thinking, oh, it's not worth it, but you have to understand that this is a different step of the process. Here, we're not trying to eliminate a whole bunch of the items to reduce our insertion fees. Here, we are trying to eliminate the VERO and copyright problems that we're going to get inevitably from posting this many items. One of the reasons that I post all my items at once instead of over a period of time is because when you post all at once, you mitigate the effects, the negative parts of getting the copyright infringements. Because if you get too many of those, then you get a listing ban. So if you can't post for 7 days or 30 days, then like, wow, like that's troubling, right? Because then you didn't already post all of your items. You can't post anything new, so that's bad. That's why with bulk, I tend to just post everything that I'm working on and then just boom, 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 boom. And I think this flash posting thing that I'm about to do, which is either restart the whole thing every 30 or 60 days, is going to be critical. But I still got some kinks to iron out and stuff to shape, but I have never put this much time, thought, and effort into figuring out how to do bulk profitably. I'm pouring myself into it, and I am actively trying to make money doing this now. In the past, I was legitimately just trying to expose myself to as much information as possible. I was not focused on earning money, and I think that is important because I am now at a point where I have learned so much. It's time to apply everything that I've learned, right? So in this situation, we're doing the same thing as before, but we're getting rid of what would produce a VERO violation in the future, right? So I'm going to do a couple of these, and then we'll identify the dangerous items that will cause policy violations, because that's the third component, right? Actually, no, there's a fourth component. Okay, yeah. I'm just going to keep going. So here we're going to do the same thing. No, I screwed up. Crap. Oops. Okay. Now what we want to do is I'm going to use a keyword like, let's see. Oh, I spelled this wrong. It's not gas clock. It's glass block. Or gas block. It's a weapon term. Okay. So let's see if there's any gas blocks on this list. Gas block. No, nothing. Awesome. That's great. Gas blocks is like a weapon kind of term. So for the weapon terms, you're only going to get like 2 or 3 hits, even though we're looking through hundreds of thousands of items. Because I kind of tried to avoid them when I was making this list in the first place. But let's see, we will almost certainly have something related to one of these weapons. Yeah, here we go. We have 36 items sold by Barska. And Barska is a company that pretty much only sells stuff related to weapon accessories for guns and that kind of thing, right? So let's just mouse through these to see, okay. So a first aid pouch, that's not bad. A red dot sight, all right, that's bad. Binoculars, cash boxes, red dot crossbow scope, that's not something we want. Another scope. You don't want to sell any accessories for weapons generally. And you can do it with optimization because there's certain ones that you're allowed to sell, but with bulk, it's best to just avoid it completely because you can just post other items. There's so many items to post. Why try and make broken things work when you could just not use them in the first place, right? So it's often good if you don't fully understand your list. It's good to search through it like this, to find a search term, and then just trying to get a sense of what kind of items contain that search term, right? So in this situation, I'm getting rid of Barska, even though some of the items are like, you know, a first aid kit. That's okay to sell. I'm not worried about that. But I'm not going to, like, there's 30 occurrences in this document. This represents such an insignificant portion of this whole list that I cannot draw any conclusions from this search, right? It's not, I can't think that, oh, okay, because I looked at 4 links and 3 of them were not about guns, that most, like 75% of this keyword isn't about guns. I can't do that. I can't afford to go through everything when the list is so big, right? I have to just learn to just go with it. And, you know, we're trying to get this down. This list, once we're done, is going to be less than 100,000 items. Like, we're really going to get rid of a lot of items here, okay? So now you understand that we have these like gun or policy violation related keywords, right? Like Barska, or let's find another one. Something like pepper spray. Here we go. Okay, so there are 13 instances of pepper spray here, so we want to get rid of all of those. Okay, but that's a good example because you can't sell pepper spray on eBay. So you understand now that, all right, we're doing a couple things here. We're eliminating the items that cause VERO problems or violations like pepper spray and Barska, AK, AR, all of that stuff. And we're also eliminating the VERO items like Casio. Those are brand names, that kind of thing. We're also eliminating the items that are just really, at the end of the day, they're going to cause more insertion fees than sales. Now next, what we want to look for is items that are indicative, that have keywords in their title that indicate that the item is for a variation, because we want to get as many variations out of this list as possible. So for that, I'm going to use the keyword choose as an example. There's a couple different keywords here. But so what we're going to do is do the same thing. Choose. All right. So we have 431 matches here. And let's look at some of the titles that this occurs in. I'm going to full screen this to illustrate this concept. Okay, this first title is fitted bassinet sheet, primary navy stripe woven, choose your color. Okay, well, choose your color. Choose from boy or girl. Choose your color. 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 Choose your size. Choose your color. Choose your, you see what I'm saying? This word is indicative that the item is for a variation. Even here, choose your character. Anytime the word choose shows up here, we can confidently get rid of that, okay? So we're going to select everything, go to the beginning, and boom. And now we're going to do the same thing for the word multiple. We're going to look at this a little bit, because maybe we don't want to do multiple, but we're going to see some patterns here. So let's go over this way a little bit. So multiple colors, multiple sizes, multiple colors, multiple sizes, multiple fabrics. So what you start to see, if you look over enough of these, is that, all right, I'm going to make a prediction here, right? The word multiple occurs 1,200 times. I'm going to predict that multiple color and multiple size will accommodate for most of those results. And sorry, it's 1,200 results, not 1,200. So multiple color, 800 results. So we're going to get rid of all those, because if it ever says available in multiple color, then we know that that is a variation. Now we're going to do the same thing, except for multiple sizes. Okay? And this one only has 189 results, but that's still most of the multiple search term. Did we do Alt-Enter? Yeah, we did. Okay? So now, let's see what we're talking about. Okay. Oh. Choose, oh no, I'm looking for multiple. Okay. Let's look at a couple of these results and see. So this one is one block wonders, Encore new shapes, multiple fabrics out of this world. Available in multiple patterns, multiple finishes, multiple lengths. You know, maybe we just want to get rid of the whole keyword multiple finishes, multiple grades, multiple teams available, multiple levels. So there's a small fraction of these items that are an occurrence of the word multiple, but so without indicating a variation. But so many of these are things we can prevent. So I'm actually just going to get rid of the whole keyword search result itself. Because remember, we can afford to be picky here. Like, we really can. Did I do that right? Okay, cool, good. Now you understand that we're getting rid of variations. We're also trying to get rid of the policy violations, and we're getting rid of listings that are just going to increase our insertion fees. I think that's pretty much every different occurrence of these items. So then there's things like eliminating gift cards and anything with email delivery in the title or digital delivery. But that's on the same concept of this policy violation stuff, because you can't sell gift cards, that kind of thing, unless you physically have them. So now you guys understand what this negative filter is. And now I'm going to go through and apply this negative filter, every single one of these words, to this list. And then we'll see what we have left over, okay? The thing is, after that, we're then going to apply a positive filter. And the positive filter is going to, basically, we're going to have a list after this that we've applied the negative filter to, and we've gotten rid of most of the bad items, or all of the bad items ideally. But then we don't just want to post all of those items. We could do that, but we want to take this a step further. We want to optimize this list. So we're going to go through that and then do the same thing we just did, except instead of pulling out the negative results, we're going to pull out the positive results and only use the positive results and leave everything else behind. So if you're bulk posting in the UK, then maybe you can just post the neutral list, because in the UK you don't have to pay insertion fees. But I'm in the US, so I have to do everything that I can to minimize my insertion fees, right? So I use the positive filter in addition to the negative filter, and then that, I think, is really going to be enough to make this more worth doing, right? But I'll see you in the next episode, where you'll see how many items I eliminated with the negative filter, and then we're going to go over the positive filter. And then after that, it's the posting process, and that is going to be a really fun part. All right, guys, I'll see you next time. Ciao. eBay VERO program check tool list checker. Program check tool.